Good morning, I'm Abby. This is my channel, 1 Minute Off. Chris Pratt is Garfield. Yes, after months, years, decades even of begging for another installment of Garfield. We can all stop hanging on the edge of our seats because it's here, guys. It's finally goddamn here. We've been patient, we've waited for so long, and now our dreams are going to come true. There's another Garfield movie, and Chris Pratt is Garfield. I could go on yet another rant about, rehashing childhood nostalgia for a cash grab to satisfy the ever-growing hunger of the Gen Z millennial generations and their children, but I'm genuinely not sure anyone asked for a Garfield movie. When was the last time you thought about Garfield the cat? That wasn't in the form of some, deep-fried satire meme. Chris Pratt was wonderful in Jennifer's Body, and amazing in Guardians of the Galaxy, and, he was alright in Legos and, fine in Onward. It seems that as of late, he's made the switch from, regular acting to voice acting in kids' movies, since apparently the quality of the content doesn't matter as long as it's making money. Because, why pick somebody who's, trained for a while to have their voice inflect in certain ways and who, study their character backgrounds in order to create a unique sound for them, when you could just attach, a big-name actor to the project. So you can have the parents of the children watching that movie say, "Oh my god, that's Chris Pratt." It was bad enough that a movie about Mario, which is one of the most universally beloved video game characters with exactly one plot arc of save princess, exists in the first place. And I could describe hearing the announcement and subsequent voice casting for that movie as similar to being stabbed in the arm with just a little bit of salt rubbed in thereafter. Can't wait to see what the plot of the Mario movie is going to be. This website says that Chris Pratt is actually one of the most prolific voice actors around, which is kind of a stretch considering he's been in 4. And when I looked up, most prolific voice actor on Google, I actually got D. Bradley Baker, who has literally voiced 2,000 roles and is still active today. So I don't know. I'm not that great with numbers, but Garfield is a comic strip from the 1970s that was created to hold enough content for exactly a small strip of paper every day or every week. The same goes for Archie, but I don't have time in this video to get into how weird Riverdale is. But we also tried this twice, actually, a few years ago with Bill Murray as Garfield, and it actually nearly ruined his acting career. With a whopping 15% and 37% respectively from critics and audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. The 2006 Garfield movie and its sequel are probably just things that are best left forgotten. I'd like to go ahead and just read a few reviews for you. I felt the same misery, despair, offense, and nausea while watching this film that I did The Cat in the Hat. That's fair. Who let Mike Myers near children? Someone said a nice, safe family film, but gave it a rating of 2 out of 4. Someone compared it to Tom and Jerry. We all know how that went. As a creation, Garfield is pure id, even cruel, pursuing his own gratification at any cost. This movie, however, declaws him. Bill Murray apparently only signed on to the project because he thought Joel Coen, the director of the movie, was one of the Coen brothers. I think the main reason for these reviews being so critical and also accurate, and the problem with this whole let's turn newspaper comics into movies thing as a whole, is that the concept of creating entire plots and themes and motives and character arcs for fictional characters who literally only exist as daily and weekly episodic comic relief for boomers is unnecessary. There's no, tense subtextual romance in Marmaduke, and, Archie was never meant to be a show for teenagers. Jughead wasn't supposed to be this cringe. Garfield exists as a funny fat cat whose whole thing is that he doesn't like lasagna, Mondays, or Odie, simply because Jim Davis drew it that way, not because Garfield needs a sad backstory and a dramatic motive. The comic was made to have something to read while you sipped your coffee in the morning, and even if it sucked, it's not like you spent a lot of money on it. The problem kind of arises when these studios who are just trying to make the most lucrative thing try to make plots and arcs out of something that, never intended to have them in the first place. They can't just say, John has Odie the dog. No. It has to be that Odie was given to John by Liz, the love interest. And when Odie gets kidnapped by an evil TV personality, John and Liz have to get into all sorts of wacky and romantic situations. And Garfield has to learn a tough life lesson about love and friendship. I personally did not, and I don't think I ever will, ask for a story about Garfield achieving personal growth and self-love. Garfield pisses John off because he's a cat, and that's what cats do when they're hungry and they want food. They knock things over. Honestly, the concept of a cat learning a lesson to me is kind of wild anyway. More importantly, the concept of taking a character that has only ever existed to, served the purpose, however well it did that, of filling out a page in the Sunday newspaper. To provide short, episodic comic relief is, again, just unnecessary. I mean, Garfield itself, even before the 2004 nightmare-fueled installment, wasn't known as, like, the funniest thing ever. It was just this comic strip that was there. A lot of people have made the argument that, Garfield is not actually supposed to be that funny in the first place. Jim Davies essentially created a character that would be marketable to cat owners because cat owners just saw dogs in the comic strips and he was like, yeah, I'll make a cat. That's why there's this like certain not quite humorous tone to Garfield. It was created literally as a commodity to be sold for less care about quality and more care about lasagna jokes. And, in this world of ever-changing bad political opinions and, news and blah, 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 Garfield the comic remained this, like, example of, something to laugh about that would expand across all political parties, regardless of, the state of the world and how bad it was. So it seems to me this new Garfield movie is just going to be another in a longer and longer list of, like, prime examples of nostalgic cash grabs that shouldn't be made in the first place, but have a big-name actor attached to them, so will be lucrative. Honestly, though, I can't believe they're making a Garfield movie given what this poor cat has been through in the last 10 years. Like, the sheer meme torture. There's, like, the infamous Garfield Without Garfield blog, which is one of my favorite things out there, and it just removes Garfield from all these comics, and I'll just show you. Somehow just infinitely funnier than the original comic. There's r/I'm sorry John on Reddit, which seems to be a community for creating depictions of Garfield as a demon called Garfold and just absolutely terrorizing his owner John. I don't know about you, but I would much rather see a movie about that. Maybe even a documentary of sorts than like listen to Chris Pratt as a cat make like half-assed jokes about food and like being lazy for an hour and a half. Well, whatever, tiny shred of dignity Garfield as a character still retained is just snuffed out. I don't really know how to end this video. I mean, I hope I don't come across as like a Garfield fangirl or anything, because I'm not. I mean, the main TLDR problem with this is like, of all of the comic strips to try and make a Hollywood movie out of, we're gonna go with Garfield. There's this really great screenshot from the articles I was reading while I was, researching this that sums up this pretty well, and I'm gonna read to you now. The guiding principle behind Garfield, directed by Pete Hewitt from a script by Joel Cohen and Alex Sicolo, seems to be that jokes that barely raise a chuckle when stretched across 3 pen and ink panels becomes gems of hilarity once they are outfitted with celebrity voices, soundtrack music, and computer-generated special effects. Looking forward to it. That's all I really have to say, other than I 100% endorse the Garfield minus Garfield blog. If you are in for a laugh, I'd go check that out. I'd take those over the regular ones any day. I'm also way more of a Calvin and Hobbes fan, if you ask me. So thanks for watching. I'm Abby, and sometimes I wish Bill Murray chose a career other than acting. Bye.